Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm Andrew Kinsey. On April 22nd of 2016, prosecutors say Jake Wagner, along with the rest of his family, snuck into the Rhoden family home, killing them while they slept. Today, Jake admitted to the crimes. 10 TV's Kevin Landers was in the courtroom as the surviving members of the Rhoden family looked on.
In the words of Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, this was the worst murder case in Ohio history. Today marks the 5th-year anniversary of the Rhoden murders, and today Jake Wagner pled guilty to 8 counts of aggravated murder. 28-year-old Jake Wagner will die in prison for the crime of killing 8 members of the Rhoden family using what the judge said was a firearm equipped with a silencer.
Some of the victims had been killed while they were sleeping.
In exchange for his guilty plea, the prosecutor says Wagner agreed to testify against the rest of his family. Doing so avoided him from receiving the death penalty. Prosecutors say they were able to tie Wagner to the crimes based on purchases before the murders.
Investigators also found receipts and video evidence of the Wagners making purchases of shoes during the same month of the homicides that matched identically the shoe tread marks left in blood at one of the scenes.
At one point, Wagner turned to the crowded courtroom full of Rhoden family survivors and said,
"And I'm deeply and very sorry."
Ohio Governor Mike DeWine was the Attorney General at the time of the crimes. He drove 45 minutes from Columbus to thank investigators and the Rhoden family for never giving up on the case.
And it was really a combination of old-fashioned police work, just grunt, gritty, slow, laborious police work.
In court, the judge described how far the Wagners went to plan this mass killing. They hacked the Facebook accounts of 2 Rhoden family members to monitor their conversations, used surveillance video to watch the family's movements, including their dogs.
This was cold, cold, cold blood. I mean, this was calculated, planned out.
And now they have.
And it just, you know, I mean, it just chills you to think about.
Prosecutors say the motive in the case was an obsession by the Wagners to gain custody of Jake's daughter. They forged paperwork that said in the event of the death of the child's mother, Jake would get custody. That paperwork was filed 6 days after the murders. Wagner's sentencing date has yet to be set. Reporting from Pike County, Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
Now, the prosecutor in the case telling 10 TV Wagner decided to change his plea last Saturday. She tells us he did so because he felt sorry for the Rhoden family. Well, we learned a lot about the evidence in this case today. Our Angela Reiger continues our team coverage tonight, explaining the role Jake Wagner played in helping uncover some of it.
The special prosecutor says screenshots on a Wagner family laptop were key to the case. It showed the growing tension between Jake Wagner and Hannah Rhoden over their then 2-year-old daughter.
Jake and Hannah began dating when Hannah was very young. Eventually, she began seeing someone else and became pregnant with that person's child. Jake grew to be upset with Hannah over the fact that Hannah was exposing Sophia to people that he believed were not, that she should not be around.
Then came the custody dispute. This message sent by Hannah, the special prosecutor says, was found when the family hacked 2 accounts.
And told that person that she would, quote, "never sign papers ever. They will have to come in first."
2 months later, investigators say evidence shows the Wagners started to prepare, buying items and making up documents.
Jake, George, and Angela Wagner had executed custody documents that designated Jake and Hannah's daughter would go to Jake if Hannah were to die.
Investigators determined signatures on that document, including Hannah's, were forged. In addition, the special prosecutor says they found burned remains of a failed silencer on the Wagners' property and that Jake Wagner led them to other evidence that they never found.
Specifically, the weapons that were used in these offenses, along with vehicles that were used during these offenses, including one that was bought specifically to use the night of the homicides only.
Jake Wagner confirmed this to the judge, saying it was all true. He now will testify against his family.
I agree to what the state has provided, and I'm deeply and very sorry.
Reporting in Columbus, Angela Reiger, 10 TV News.
Now, the Rhoden murders and the criminal case that followed have captured Ohio. It's the biggest murder investigation in state history. Now, 5 years to the day that the murders happened, we want to walk you through the timeline that led us to the Jake Wagner guilty plea today. The 10 TV archives show this first video from April 22nd, 2016. The crime scene stretched across 4 homes, 3 of them spread out on the same road near the Pike-Adams County border. People in the community rushed to embrace the family as the murders shocked everyone. As the weeks went on, we learned much more about the victims. Christopher Rhoden Sr., his ex-wife Dana Rhoden, and their 3 children, Frankie, Christopher Jr., and Hannah. Frankie's fiancée, Hannah, was also a victim, along with Christopher Sr.'s brother, Kenneth, and cousin, Gary. A year after the murders, police named the Wagner family, Billy and Angela, and their adult sons, Jake and George, as persons of interest in the case. In 2018, police arrested all 4 members of the Wagner family for the Rhoden murders. That's when we finally learned what investigators believe was the motive: a custody dispute over the daughter Jake Wagner and Hannah Rhoden had together. For the past 3 years, the Wagner family has appeared in court ever so often, each with the trial looming. The coronavirus delayed the justice system a bit until earlier this year, when the cases started moving once again. Now, Jake's mother, father, and brother are still facing their own murder trials, and you can count on us to keep you updated on any new development in the Rhoden family murder trials here on air, online at 10tv.com, and our free 10TV News app.